This is the Scale Swatch Painting demo. You guys are going to be making an 11-step grayscale, and in order to do that, you need to paint more than 11. This assignment is very much about editing. It's very much about training your eye to see the subtle difference between grays. In order to do that, first you have to have a lot of grays to pick from, and a lot of grays to try to match up with one another. So in order to do that, you need to paint at least 100 swatches, okay? 120 is ideal. Less than 100 is not enough. More than 120 is probably too many. You really, this is over years of doing this assignment, I've discovered, I tried to jack it up over the years to make it, okay, first, like way back, you know, before you guys were born, I would have it done where you would do the demo with like maybe 50 or 60 swatches. And it wasn't enough to get a really good grayscale. I finally got it up to 100, and that seemed to kind of work pretty well. I put it to 120, that worked really well. Then at one point I actually said, if anybody wants to do 160 to 170, try that. And you know what, and the results did not get any better. Like it was like 120 should be enough for everybody. And I'll show you how to do this, okay? So I want all the swatches to be about 1 by 2 inches. And so in order to do this, you're working on your bristol. Here's your bristol, right? Everybody should have an 11 by 14 pad. You're going to need to measure out, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. You measure out all the swatches, you're going to paint the swatches. Every page would have, based on my measurements, 20 swatches on it. So 5 pages will give you 100. 6 will give you 120, okay? This is how you want to measure them, okay? I'm going to use a ruler. Here's my pad of Bristol. And I basically am measuring with the ruler. I go in 1 inch, then 2 inches, okay? So from 1 to 3. Then another inch of separation, and another 2. Inch of separation, like that, okay? So I end up with basically 1, 2, 3, 4 2-inch sections. I go up to the top and do the same thing, okay? I go in 1 inch, measure 2. Go in 1 inch, go 2. Go in 1 inch, go 2. 1 inch, go 2, stop, because then basically I'm out of room. I now draw a straight line to connect them all. I know this is kind of boring, but you need to make sure you have accurate measurements in order to do the assignment properly. Now, as far as getting started with the painting, which I will show you how to do shortly, if you want to draw, like if you want to spend, you know, a good, you know, half hour to an hour doing nothing but draw out the grids like I'm doing now before you start painting, so that all the grids are drawn and you've completed that task completely, and all you have to do is paint, that's fine. If this is really boring, the grid drawing part I mean, and you're like, I really want to start painting right away, you just have to grid out 1 page and you can start painting right away. That's fine by me. I don't care what order you do it in, right? So this is what it looks like, okay? It's 2 inches wide, right? Like that. Separated by 1 inch, okay? Now I'm going to measure down every single inch, okay? From here. Actually, I'm going to go down, yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stop. Same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 here. Now I'm going to draw, again, same thing, draw lines all the way across. Now I want you, please, to keep space in between the swatches. And there's a reason for this that will become clear later. But I'm not going to waste your time by, like, this is one of those, just trust me, do it the way I'm showing you, and there's a reason why I'm doing it that way. I want space around each of the swatches. Once you're done drawing the grid like this, it can be confusing visually as to which swatches are to be painted and which parts of the Bristol are to be left relatively blank. because it all kind of looks the same. So my recommendation to you is that you mark the swatches in a way that will allow you not to, and I do this all the time, even during the demo. Like I'll start painting something that I don't want to paint. I'm like, damn it. Okay. So there you go. So now it looks like this. This is 1 by 2. All right. I want space around all of them. Okay. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is what I recommend you do. Don't do this. Like if you want to paint something, don't put an X on it. All right. These paints, when they are in the light gray stage, which is mostly white with a little black, the paint is transparent, okay? And you will see the X through it. So don't mark it on the swatch, mark it like with a little arrow next to it. That means I'm gonna paint this and this and this. If you wanna X out the things you don't want to paint, which would be these, all of these, okay? All of the, like you don't want to paint anything where there's a space.
Can you make this gap smaller?
You could, why? It's faster this way. So that you save a piece of Bristol, which is a legitimate, that's a legitimate thing. It's like, really? Like, no. It's not going to save, it'll save you like a page. Like, really, don't worry about it. Also, you want to leave a large amount of room so that you can cut the swatches to be specific sizes that you want them to be. If they're too close, you won't be able to see where you're cutting. Again, it's one of those, trust me. And so these are the ones I want to do. So it's going to be 4 times 5. That's going to be 20 swatches on a page. That's 1 page, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 100 swatches. 6 is 120, and that should be plenty. There is the slight possibility that you will need to make more, but it would be a very small amount. You won't need a lot, okay? So let's do this way. Okay, I prepped my Bristol. It's ready to go. I've got the swatches ready to do this. Now we mix paint. You are going to need a container of water. This is as small as the container should be. That's a little bit better, he said, aiming his camera. Like that size, like a 12 or 16 ounce cup. That is way, I mean, that's fine, but you don't need that much. I would fill that literally like maybe
I fill it
1/5. I wouldn't even fill it halfway. Like you just don't need that much water. Something like this size is good. It's too nice a cup. I literally use leftover like coffee cups from Foodies or here or Starbucks or Coffee Bean, just disposable cups. Obviously make sure that all the coffee or whatever boba or whatever you're drinking is out, okay? And just put water in it. So it's simple. You have 2 paints. We're not going to get into color for a couple more weeks, 3 more weeks actually. So don't worry about color. You need titanium white, you need jet black. That's all you need. You are going to mix these in varying proportions to get every possible gray that you can from white to black. All right. Now, in order to do that, and I don't care what order you do them in. In other words, like, well, do I need to start with white and then they get a little bit darker and a little bit darker and a little bit darker? You can, but why? It's because what you're going to do is you're going to end up cutting all of these out individually and sorting them manually. So even if they're out of order here, they're going to be laid out by you and edited and sorted by you anyway. So don't overthink this. Where I really want you thinking is when all the swatches are painted and everything, and you're editing. That's when you really want to focus and train your eye to see subtle differences in grays. But the painting part, what I care about is the quality, not what order you do them in. And the quality is important, which is why this doesn't work. See, don't use that one. He said poking his girlfriend. So this is, and you want to make sure a couple of things. You want to make sure you use enough paint. Okay, this is the part that's always hard for students to do. It's like, I'm putting out too much paint. I'm wasting all this money. It's like, you're going to waste money if you don't put enough paint out. If you don't put enough paint out, the swatches will suck and you're going to have to repaint them anyway. That's a waste of paint. No, I'm serious. Now, You don't need to put that much out because it does dry quickly, all right? So like that should be fine to get started. Once you put it out, you can't put it back, and it does dry quickly. I don't want you to waste paint, so that's why I'm showing you how much to put out. The black pigment is much, much stronger than the white. You will always need more white than black. That's why in your kits, even when we get into color, there are more tubes of titanium white than any other color, because you need that all the time for any sort of painting exercise. So this is what I want you to do. Take a palette knife, and this is how you mix the paint. You've got the black, you've got the white. You can use it like a little trowel, which it is in a sense. You should keep the black and white separate so that they don't mix up with one another, so that you know that that's always white and you know that's always black. I'm going to mix it over here, okay? And I'm basically picking it up, and then, you know, this thing's flexible, right? So you just squeeze it out like that. Before I pick up the black, I want to get the paint off of it so I don't add white in with the black. This is why cloth rags are better than these. These work okay. These work better. So I'm just making sure that it's clean. Now I'm going to add a little bit of black, just a little, okay? See how much white there is? Just a little bit of black goes a long way. How do I mix the paint? I basically am adding it, and then it's kind of like you're spreading like butter on toast or icing a cake. Like you're not stirring it, okay? That doesn't do it, okay? Don't poke it, don't chop it, okay? Really, I've seen students do all these things, so I'm not like making this up. The most efficient way of doing it is just spreading it around like this. Listen. I'm scraping it up, you can hear me scraping it, and then spreading it out until it isn't streaky anymore, okay? Is that enough? That's enough for basically a swatch.